think the government should look into this. DILG should look into this. No, they should check out why farm gate prices are that low. The associations which have to do with egg producers and onion growers are saying that they're selling their products at such low prices. How come it comes on to the shelves of supermarkets at such high prices? No, we're just at the receiving end of from the suppliers of these goods and just pass on a regular margin. No? So I don't have the answer to that as to where the gap went.
That was Stephen Kua of the Philippine Amalgamated Supermarket Association last night talking about a huge gap between farm gate and retail prices on products like onions. Today, the Agriculture Department visited farms in Nueva Ecija to find out why from the nation's capital. All sides, all the time. I'm Robbie Alampay.
And I'm Gretchen Ho. The big story tonight.
Onion prices at farm gate level have started to drop, but this has yet to be felt at wet markets in Metro Manila, where prices remain high, up to 400 pesos per kilo still.
Though incoming imports are expected to bring prices down soon, local farmers say this is already causing a significant drop in their income. Shaila Francisco with the big story.
After almost 4 months of planting and waiting, farmers are now busy harvesting their white onion produce at a farm in Rizal, Nueva Ecija. Farmers have doubled their harvest this year, with white onions now bigger and better in quality. But despite the bountiful harvest, farmers can't help but worry as farm gate prices of the commodity started to drop in a matter of days. From 250 pesos per kilo, traders are buying their produce at 120 pesos. Farmers are pinning the blame on the government's decision to import onions. They say some traders have stopped purchasing local onions in anticipation of the arrival of cheaper imports. Farmers also feel forced to sell onions at the price dictated by remaining traders since they don't have the means to transport their own products.
Wala na magagawa dahil hindi naman namin po pwedeng kainin lahat. Lumalagay na lang kami sa sigurado kahit na ako na medyo mababa. Hawak na namin yung pera. Kaya kung bibiyahin namin ito, bibili pa kami muna ng truck. Mahirap din. Pupunta kami ng palengke. Hindi naman po pwedeng pupunta rin basta ng palengke lang doon. Kaya may kilala ka rin bagsakan doon.
Some farm owners with vehicles are trying to sell their produce directly to the wholesale market of nearby towns. But this seems to be a challenge for them as well.
Para kang kawawa doon na nagmamakaawa ka na bilhin yung magandang produkto mo ng presyo.
These are just some of the concerns raised by farmers when agriculture officials inspected their farms Friday morning. The DA says they are now looking for additional buyers for the farmers. They are also working on providing farmers access to cold storage facilities.
Gusto po natin na yung mga magsasaka mismo magkaroon ng access sa cold storage facility para yung pagbenta po nila ng kanilang produkto ay they can demand the price that they want. Kasi dati po, pag wala silang access sa cold storage facility, mapipilitan silang ibenta agad.
While farm gate prices have dropped significantly, this is not immediately translated in Metro Manila markets where prices remain at 250 to 400 pesos a kilo. Farmers and the DA say some retailers may just be finishing off old stocks they bought at higher prices. The government assures consumers that it is expecting lower prices in the coming weeks with the arrival of some 5,000 metric tons of imported onions. Peak harvest is meanwhile expected around mid-February. Shaila Francisco, WER One News.
Meanwhile, prices of some commodities have been rising since last year. Now, a survey from SWS says at least 3 million Filipino households experienced involuntary hunger at least once in the fourth quarter of last year. Involuntary hunger is defined as the state of being hungry and not having anything to eat. The survey conducted on December 10 to 14 found that 11.8% of Filipino families experienced involuntary hunger over the last 3 months. Now, that's a slight increase from the 11.3% recorded in the third quarter. The 11.8% in the fourth quarter is a sum of the 9.5% who experienced moderate hunger and 2.3% who experienced severe hunger. Mindanao recorded the highest hunger incidence at 12.7%, equivalent to over 700,000 families.
We all know that fuel prices are among those that have gone up quite significantly last year. For those looking at electric vehicles as an alternative mode of transportation, these vehicles will soon be made tariff-free under a new executive order signed by President Bongbong Marcos. In his executive order number 12, the president approved the recommendation of NEDA to bring down the tariff rate of certain electric vehicles and their spare parts to 0%. The order covers completely built-up units such as passenger cars, buses, minibuses, vans, trucks, motorcycles, tricycles, scooters, and bicycles. Hybrid-type electric vehicles, however, are not included. Current import duties range from 5% to 30%. Here to talk to us about the zero tariffs on e-vehicles, we have with us Mr. Edmund Araga over Zoom. He is president of the Electric Vehicle Association of the Philippines. Good evening, Mr. Araga. Welcome to The Big Story.
Good evening, Rob. Good evening, Gretchen.
Sir, bigyan mo nga muna ako ng idea. I mean, we're talking, of course, let's talk cars muna. Ano ba yung presyo ngayon if people can access it? Motorcycles, e-bikes, what difference will this make on the prices, and what do you expect in terms of demand?
Okay. Presently, ang comparison natin to ICEs as to electric, we are more than triple of the cost. If you're going to make a comparison to EVs as to ICEs. Now, this is really a very good opportunity for us para yung mga interested consumers to switch into electric can afford to buy the electric cars. Specifically, yung mga for personal mobility use, no? And that it really has an effect that more people can afford to buy BEVs in particular rather than choosing the ICEs.
Of course, in switching vehicles, the price is a big factor. How cheap is it now to switch to an e-vehicle? And your thoughts on the exclusion of hybrid vehicles? Hybrid vehicles.
Okay, at present, actually, hybrid vehicles right now can go head-to-head with the ICEs at it is not so much price difference. Like for example, certain brand, can I mention brands? Kasi baka mamaya it might take it na nagpo-promote or something. Pero comparing it to an ordinary, like for example, an SUV, there is a compact SUV that is 1.5. A hybrid car or a hybrid SUV is about 1.7. That's a 200,000 difference. Mm-hmm. But there are a lot of people now buying the hybrid, comparing it to ICEs. But if you're going to segue it to an electric vehicle, that is more than double. That is in terms of price as to hybrid and to ICEs. So kung mabibigyan natin ng zero tariff, medyo ma-align na siya at malalapit na doon sa price difference ng ICE and hybrid.
Now, let's talk beyond the actual units of the vehicles. Let's talk about the ecosystem for supporting and promoting and popularizing e-vehicles in the country. Itong zero tariff applies not just to built-up units, it applies as well to spare parts. Apart from parts, what else need to be enabled for a complete ecosystem to support e-vehicles in the Philippines?
Well, apart from it is also the consideration of the charging stations at based on the infrastructures, no? Actually, less naman sa mga component parts ang electric compared to ICE. So, hindi naman malaki ang effect nito as to importation of parts. Besides, we only had a few electric cars in the market right now. There's only around 13,934 registered electric vehicles at present. And if you're going to make a comparison to an ICEs, that is more than 1 million, that is compared to 19,000. However, this would entail in supporting in alignment with the Electric Vehicle Industry Development Act law that is being approved, the Republic Act 11697. This would pave way in in promoting the industry per se in using BEVs. For our country to save on gas, on importing fuel that we consume of about more than 90% being used for land transportation.
I'm curious about your own personal experience. I mean, you shared with us earlier that you're riding an e-vehicle yourself. Is it easy to find places to charge your vehicle? Do you do it at home? And how is I guess the overall ecosystem right now?
Yes, Gretchen, most or 90% of the EV users, they charge it at home. And it's only whenever they needed to charge, that's where they have to find their charging stations. Actually, right now, especially last quarter, there were a lot of charging stations at days. We're in malls, hotels, and tomorrow nga, Beach Resort, maglo-launch na sila ng charging station. So, we're going on this track that the acceptability of the market and the infrastructures is already in place. All we have to do is taking it to a next level in promoting the EV industry.
All right, thank you very much. Sana po ay di po kayo malobat. Mr. Edmund Araga, President of the Electric Vehicle Association of the Philippines. Now, after the break, after being granted Filipino citizenship days ago, Justin Brownlee is now joining the national team pool for the sixth and final window of the FIBA World Cup Asian qualifiers. Now, Justin will be joining us for a discussion when the big story returns. Keep it here on One News.
Ago, there was a lava explosion here in Iceland, and when volcanoes erupt and cool down, they leave behind lots and lots of basalt. So all this rock is predominantly basalt. That's pretty much what all of Iceland is made of. And basalt rock is really good at capturing carbon dioxide.
Carbfix imitates and accelerates these natural processes to permanently store carbon dioxide in basaltic rock. These futuristic pods is where it all happens.
So when you inject CO2 underground, you can actually now show us what exactly happens.
Yeah, this is actually a nice example of kind of before and after.
Yeah. Can I touch it?
Of course.
Now this is basalt, right?
Yes, it kind of looks like a sponge. And these pores and fractures and vesicles, they can actually host the CO2 once you've turned it into stone. And that's what you see here. In this rock, we have already stored some CO2. You can see all these white spots. So here, the pores are actually filled with these white minerals, and this is just simply CO2 turned to stone.
It's been a volatile start to the year for the pound, and investors are bracing for more turbulence. In 2022, the pound hit a record low against the dollar and delivered its worst annual performance in 6 years. This year, investors see very little room for recovery given the UK's various economic challenges. There's the Bank of England warning that a recession is all but inevitable, which would limit its ability to raise interest rates. Sterling is also being held back by a record decline in living standards, as well as a housing market that looks vulnerable to a sharp correction. That's why strategists expect the currency to fall to 117 against the dollar in the first quarter. The pound's pain is only just beginning.
Story here on One News.
Gigi Reyes, the former Chief of Staff of Presidential Legal Counsel Juan Ponce Enrile, has been released from jail after nearly 9 years in detention. Reyes was granted provisional release from the Taguig City Jail on Thursday. That's after the Supreme Court ruled that her continued confinement violates her right to a speedy trial and infringes on her right to liberty. The High Court decision favored Reyes' petition for habeas corpus, where her camp argued that her detention had been longer compared to that of her co-accused. The writ of habeas corpus is granted to cases of illegal confinement or detention in which a person is deprived of liberty. In her case, she had been detained since 2014, while her co-accused were either acquitted or released on bail, all of whom served far less time in jail and were able to mount even political comebacks. Now let's recall, Reyes is accused of pocketing more than 170 million pesos in pork barrel kickbacks from bogus NGOs supposedly owned by businesswoman Janet Lim Napoles. During this time, she was serving as Chief of Staff to then-Senator Juan Ponce Enrile.
The Philippines has the potential to become the next destination for international productions, says the Motion Pictures Association Asia Pacific, given the recent global recognition of Filipino talent and content. Case in point, Eric Mati's film On the Job, Missing 8, and the Netflix release of Filipino animated series Trece. Trece is based on a local horror comic series by Filipino writer Budget, artist Cajo Baldissimo, and directed by Filipino-American Jay Oliva, and co-executive produced by Tanya Yuson. While Eric Mati's film On the Job, Missing 8 may have failed to make it to the shortlist of this year's Academy Awards for International Feature Films, John Arcilla won the Volpe Cup for Best Actor at the 78th Venice International Film Festival. Now, PLDT's Kathy Yang spoke with Stephen Jenner of the Motion Pictures Association Asia Pacific on the sidelines of the recent Asian Academy Creative Awards in Singapore. She started by asking him about how Philippine content creators and producers compare with Korean counterparts in the global entertainment industry. Let's listen in.
Developments over the pandemic, as we're all locked down and stuck with streaming, is a growth in interest in Filipino talent and Filipino content. Trece comes to mind. Eric Mati's On the Job. What are the prospects for maybe a Southeast Asian country with so much talent and yet faced with possibly challenges to get filmmaking going and go global?
There's no limit to how much the entire community, the screen community in the Philippines, can talk with each other, can get around the table and say, let's all be working to the same goal. And what does that goal look like? And what can we achieve in 2, 3, 5, 10 years? That's actually what the Koreans did. They said, we will have goals and parameters that we're going to work to, and we want to try and realize that. Now, I think the Philippines is very lucky because you have incredible talent, both in front of and behind the camera. Some Filipino talent are making their names in international production, and that will sort of help with the bridge between local and the global audience. But the other thing I think too is how the Philippines can incentivize the international screen industry to come to the Philippines and make content.
Are you seeing that?
There is a lot of discussion around it. I think if you look around the region, it's really, really competitive. Countries like Australia have a 30% location offset. That's 30% of your budget. And we're seeing that in places like Malaysia. India recently announced something. Even Mongolia, they're offering 30% for international productions to come and shoot any show in Mongolia. What I would say about production incentives is this is a proven investment. So when the analysts do their numbers and they look at, okay, we spent $1 invested into a show, the research shows us that there are at least $6 returned back into the local economy. So there shouldn't be any sort of worry about, sort of pouring money away. It's actually stimulating an entire economy. A good example is the Australians. They poured a lot of money into filmmaking actually during the pandemic, and then they made it work. And now their sort of productivity is sky high. The problem is finding enough people to come and point the camera and shine the lights and hold the sound boom. That's the problem.
Catch Kathy Yang's full interview with Stephen Jenner of the Motion Picture Association Asia Pacific on our upcoming new program.
Our new kababayan officially joins the Gilas Pilipinas pool as a naturalized player. Ginebra resident import Justine Brownlee, whose Filipino citizenship was granted last January 12, heads the 24-man national team pool. Tonight we have with us live via Zoom Justine Brownlee. Good evening. Welcome, mabuhay, Justin.
Hey, good evening. Thanks for having me on the show.
Yeah. Hey, not that it's a surprise, but how does it feel? You've been training with the pool before. You've trained with these guys, but how does it feel to not only be a Filipino, but to be officially be part of the Gilas pool?
It feels great. I've been wanting this for a long time, and my teammates from Ginebra and a lot of fans, they've been talking about it and excited for it. So I'm just ready to continue practicing with the team, and whenever I get a chance to suit up, I'm gonna just try to give my all and help the team as much as I can.
Well, we're quite overjoyed by this development. Good for our Gilas chances for sure, but we know this isn't any small step. I'm just curious, what led you to this decision to become a naturalized Filipino and, quite simply be pinning your hopes, your dreams, and your future here in the Philippines?
Well, I really love basketball, and here in the Philippines, the love for basketball is second to no place I've ever been. So that was just the initial connection right there. But just seeing, how humble the people are here, and how much love I've been getting. Of course, playing for Ginebra, it's a lot of love there. But just outside of basketball, a lot of people tell me, how proud they are of me and how good of a person I am and how well I respect the country, and that means a lot to myself. I pride myself on being a good human being, and I'm just overall happy and excited. That the process it went very smooth. I got to thank all the congressmen and the congresswomen, the senators and the president and everybody involved, SBP group and everything. It really went smooth, and I'm just blessed to be having this opportunity.
Yeah, speaking of Ginebra, hats off to Ginebra as well, and your triumph there. But the training for Gilas is on Monday. It's basically just a week from the Commissioner's Cup. How do you see this turnaround? Are you ready for this?
Yeah, I'm ready. The good thing is that I'm in great shape. Just playing in the finals. So I only probably needed about a week of rest, and it's been about that. So I'm pretty much ready. I took a long break during the pandemic, so I'm ready to just try to make all that time up.
For sure. He's in the gym right now. and the game never stops for athletes like you. But you've trained with the Gilas team in the past. You've seen how the journey of the team through the past year. And our SBP officials have been saying that this is a long-term thing. We're focusing on the FIBA World Cup this coming August. Having seen the whole scenario, having seen the whole team and the players who are in the pool, what do you think do we need to develop to get ready to be able to develop a team that will be competitive for the upcoming World Cup?
Well, for me, I think the talent is there, and it has gotten better and better over the years since I've been in the Philippines. It seems like basketball is steady growing. Steady growing, and sorry. Sorry, you guys. Sorry. Just I think the building of the chemistry is going to be great. You know, the team been together. You gotta be fine. This will fix.
Feels like we're still in the locker room, no? Dahil have the locker room.
Yeah.
Yo, I apologize.
No, that's okay.
I got my son here with me, and we just got there. But I apologize. But oh my God.
Well, he definitely deserves to enjoy his quick break, very quick 1 week break.
And yeah, it's very short break. We won't keep him. Maraming salamat, kabayan, Justin Brownlee. And after the break, we'll take a look at the preparations for Chinese New Year in Binondo. That and more when the big story returns. Keep it here on One News.
Social media companies did make great strides in moderating content over the recent years. However, Sunday's events in Brasilia show they have a long way to go in languages other than English.
Much like the January 6th attack on the US Capitol, posts seen by Bloomberg News suggest participants were able to openly organize themselves on social media. We discovered posts on social media featuring apparent attendees at Sunday's attack using code words to discuss their routes to Brasilia as well as the kind of weapons they were planning to bring. The terms themselves were relatively simplistic, with phrases such as Selma's Party and Corn on the Cob used as standards for demonstration and people, respectively.
To many observers of the Brazilian government in recent years, it comes as no surprise that Bolsonaro's supporters have taken a page out of the MAGA playbook. Bolsonaro, like Trump, also attempted to discredit last year's election. And now, as the Brazilian government looks to bring those who participated in the attack to justice, his supporters are referring to the arrested as political prisoners and attempting to spread the claim that they were in fact infiltrated by members of radical leftist groups. What Sunday's events made clear is that the structural issues behind the way social networks handle misinformation are still very much there.
இதில் பிறந்திருக்கோம் அப்படின்னா பெருமாளுக்கு கைங்கரியம் பண்ணுறதுக்காகவே நம்ம பிறந்திருக்கோம். ஸோ அந்த இதில் வந்து அப்பா, தாத்தா, கொள்ளு தாத்தா இப்படி எல்லாருமே வந்து இந்த பெருமாளுடைய அலங்காரத்தை வந்து நம்ம பண்ணிட்டு இருந்தா. ஸோ அவள் இதை பார்த்து அது மாதிரி நம்மளும் பண்ணணும் ஒரு ஆசையினால பெருமாளுக்கு அலங்காரம் பண்ணணும் அப்படின்னு, பெருமாளுக்கு மாத்திரம் இல்லாமல் எல்லா சுவாமிக்குமே அலங்காரம் பண்ணணும் அப்படின்ற ஒரு இன்ட்ரெஸ்ட்டில் வந்து ஸோ அப்படியே நம்ம அலங்காரம் பண்ணணும். அலங்காரத்துக்கு வந்து ஆர்ட், ஓவியம், இன்னொன்று வந்து பரதநாட்டியம், இன்னும் வந்து யோகாசனம், இது மூணும் கலந்தது தான் நம்ம அலங்காரத்தில் வந்து பண்ண முடியும். அந்த முத்திரைகளும் சரி, அந்த பாவனைகளும் சரி, அந்த உட்கார்ந்த திருக்கோலங்கள் எல்லாமே. ஸோ இந்த இதை வந்து நம்ம என்ன பண்ணணும், இதில் என்ன நம்ம மேம்படுத்தி பண்ணணும் அப்படிங்கிறத நம்ம திங்க் பண்ண அடுத்து இப்போ நம்ம பெருமாளுக்கு வந்து திருவடி சாத்திடுறோம் அப்படின்னா அடுத்தது ஹஸ்தத்தை நம்ம எப்படி சாத்தலாம், ஹஸ்தம் சாத்ததுக்கப்புறம் மார்புகள்லாம் நம்ம எப்படி சாத்தலாம், அப்புறம் கிரீடங்கள் எப்படி சாத்தலாம், கர்ணபத்திரம் காதுன்னு சொல்லி.
The big story here on One News.
After 2 years of restrictions, business returns to Chinatown for the Chinese Lunar New Year. Shoppers have been snapping up Lucky Charms and delicacies in Binondo as 2023, the year of the water rat, approaches. Ground fruits are also very popular items being sold in Binondo. Vendors, however, warn that prices are higher now compared to previous years. Still, this has not stopped many from buying tikoy, hopia, and other staple snacks in the area. Some roads in Manila and Quezon City, meanwhile, will be closed in preparation for the Chinese New Year celebrations.
Volleyball teams are gearing up for the PVL All-Filipino Conference with new recruits in their roster. The details in my report. New year, new faces. Changes and adjustments are in full swing in the PVL as several teams revealed their latest recruits for the All-Filipino Conference. For the Signal HD Spikers, veteran setter Giselle C. and wing spiker Chin Basas will bolster their campaign in the upcoming conference. They will be reunited with their former FEU Tamarao mentor Shaq De Los Santos.
Pablo!
Meanwhile, multi-titled spiker Myla Pablo makes her biggest move yet as she joins F2 Logistics this season. Pablo was officially welcomed by the Cargo Movers last week, shortly after winning her second title with Petrogas. Cherry Tigo, on the other hand, has added Pongay Gaston to their roster. It's a welcome addition after Dindin Santiago Manabat transferred to the Akari Chargers. Akari also listed the services of libero Bang Pineda from Petrogas and opposite hitter Eli Soyud from PLDT. The high-speed hitters, on the other hand, acquired power spiker Mitch Morente and UST standout Isa Jimenez. There's also movements in the coaching department. Champion coach Rald Ricafort moves to PLDT after steering Petrogas to a championship in the reinforced conference. Petrogas also welcomes Oliver Almadro as their newest head coach. Meanwhile, banking on her success in the UAAP Juniors, Regine Jego will be making her professional coaching debut with the F2 Logistics. For fan favorite Choco Mucho, men's champion coach Dante Alinsinurin has been tapped to lead the Flying Titans this conference. Defending champion Streamline Cool Smashers will be relying on their tried and tested chemistry and system, but they admit that it will be a challenging season with Eliza Valdez still recovering from a knee injury from the last conference.
So we have to feel kung ano yung kulang ni Ate Lai. That's just, kunwari, for example, for me, not just me na feeling Ate Lai's position. It's everyone in the team, from the coaches, the players, lahat kami dyan nag-feel, I don't know yet nga, sabi nga ni Coach Erwin, kung makakasabay ba ako sa training nila and sa mga games nila. At the end of the day, we can't be complacent.
The PVL All-Filipino Conference is set to open this February 4.
And that is the big story tonight. For more updates, follow News 5, The Philippine Star, and Business World Online. You may also log on to onenews.ph for more in-depth analysis. I'm Robbie Alampay.
The big story is also available via Signal Play app. Make your free account now at signalplay.com and stream One News anytime, anywhere. I'm Gretchen Ho. Stay safe, Philippines.
We are One News, all sides, all the time.